Democratic perspectives, news, interviews, and smart thinking for a better, freer America. Today's Democratic Perspective host, Chris Lunn.
Some of the early voting locations in Douglas County, starting October the 18th, will be at the CVIC Hall. Satellite locations at the Tahoe Transportation Center, which is at 169 Highway 50. The Topaz Ranch Estates Fire Station, which is at 1476 Albright Drive. Sunridge Fire Station, which is 3620 North Sunridge. The Gardnerville Ranchos Fire Station, which is at 940 Mitch Drive. And the Johnson Lane Fire Station, which is at 1450 Stephanie Way.
I would like to add that anybody can vote at any of these locations on early voting. You don't have to be in your precinct as such. So
that's good information.
Which is different from voting day, November 4th. People have to go to their own poll.
Early voting in Nevada starts on October the 18th, and there are many experts that are being quoted. Just recently in USA Today, an expert named Paul Gronke from the Early Voting Information Center predicts that nearly a third of the electorate will vote early this year, up from 15% in 2000 and 20% in 2004. In closely contested Colorado, Nevada, and New Mexico, the quote goes, about half the voters are expected to cast ballots before Election Day. Florida could be as high as 40%.
And I would like to add that in Nevada now, the latest statistic is that Democrats now have 81,000 more registered voters than Republicans. This is news in Nevada. It's a first to have that kind of lead. Nevada is one of those battleground states that's gone back and forth between being what they call red or blue, but we fully expect it to be blue this year. However, I urge everybody to get out and vote early. There's less apt to be voter fraud on early voting. There's less apt to be problems of votes being counted on early voting. So I urge everybody to get out as soon as possible. It opens October 18th, that goes to October 31st. And if you wait until November 4th, there may be long lines. And there's always the possibility of there not being enough voting machines and people not being serviced well. So please get out early and vote. Yeah.
I want to jump back to the topic of the actual early voting and how that can really help everyone. First of all, this time of year, who knows what the weather's going to be? So November 4th could be a bright sunny day, or it could be a blizzard going on in Nevada, or it could be both on the same day.
That's true.
The other part is what it really helps is people that are following the election in the sense of voter turnout. The more people that we get to vote early, the more we can concentrate on the ones that haven't got out to vote yet, getting them out to vote.
So Chuck, are you involved in getting people to the polls on Election Day, or do you know about that? What's the Democratic Party doing here in Douglas County?
Well, I know they're going to have carpool available and those kind of things, transportation if they need it and that. But yes, I'm involved like I was the one before, so whatever they need me to do, I'm kind of a gopher kind of guy. So.
If you, on Election Day, do need any kind of transportation or information, you can get that by calling the Douglas County Central Committee headquarters, which is 783-1903. Cindy Trigg, being a local candidate for a seat on the school board, she is currently vice president and running for re-election. And also, I know you're pretty involved with the Jill Derby campaign. Can you give us a little idea on how early voting affects campaigns at her level, which is the federal level, and then your level right here at the grassroots?
Well, I don't think there's anything as important as early voting. When you have to, on Election Day, get everybody out to vote and get your base out to vote, it's really a difficult job, and early voting makes it so much easier. We are encouraging everybody we know to get their friends and their families out to early vote, because we have the ability to track who's voted and who hasn't. And of course, like Chuck mentioned, it's a lot easier to get 40% to 60% of the voters out for on Election Day than to get 100% of the voters out on one day. So early voting is critical. As for a more local election, the idea of your supporters being able to go out and tell their friends and neighbors that I've already voted for Cindy Trigg, and we're asking you to go down around the corner, so to speak, in a lot of the areas where you can vote early, and please cast your vote for the candidate that you support. It really helps tremendously. On election day, if you don't go and early vote, you could be in a busy precinct that you're going to have to stand in line for several hours. For people who have to work, people who are going to work on that particular day, it really diminishes their ability to be able to cast their vote because they don't have that kind of time.
Not to be morbid, but there was a recent American Medical Association study that says on election day, there are 18% more fatalities and 800 more disabling injuries for people making that mad rush to drive to the polls and vote. So if anything, it's more safe to vote early. And also, as we've been mentioning, the early vote, get out the vote campaign, if you do vote early, many times you're taken off the polls and you won't continue to get those phone calls at your house urging you to vote or to vote for this candidate or that candidate because they already know you voted. So that's another good reason to get out and vote early.
That might be the best reason to get out and vote early, but besides that, as with any presidential election, and especially this presidential election, there will be record turnouts. So unless you have the time November 4th to stand in line for a while and the patience to stand in line for a while, you'd be better off trying to vote early if you can.
As everybody else has said, I'm really encouraging everybody to get out and vote early. What I'd like to see is everybody go out there, vote early, and then get at least 5 friends and families to go out and do the same thing. Ask them to get 5 friends and family. Make it like a phone tree. When you come home from voting, get on the phone, call your friends, tell them how easy it was, tell them it wasn't crowded, encourage them to get out there and vote early and to bring their husbands, their wives, their parents, their grandparents, whoever is eligible to vote, get them to those polls early and have them continue to spread the word on how convenient those early voting locations are to get to and how easy it was for you to cast that early vote. And like Paul and Chuck said, you will be taken off those voter rolls, so you won't be getting the robocalls, you won't be getting the last minute push, your phone won't be ringing off the hook. And what it does is it helps the candidates gauge where they have to put their best efforts. So if we're having a fantastic turnout in Douglas County and it doesn't look like we're having a great turnout in Elko County for the Derby campaign, we can put our resources where we need to make that final push. So vote early, don't vote often. We don't want to be accused of anything. And I'd like to thank you in advance for your continued support of the Douglas County, the Douglas Kids Continuation School Bond. Please vote yes on that, and I would appreciate your vote for school board trustee. Thank you.
And Douglas County, just to reiterate, you can vote Monday through Friday starting October the 18th at the CVIC Hall. Pretty much, let's see, it says right here from 8 in the morning until 6 in the afternoon. So that's a nice window. It's easy to get to. It's right downtown on Esmeralda. And that will happen all the way through October the 29th. And there is early voting on Nevada Day. This has been a very stimulating discussion, and I would like to thank my guests Paul Belt, Jane Foraker-Thompson, Chuck Vickery, and Cindy Trigg. And good luck, Cindy, in your coming election. Thank you very much. This has been Democratic Perspectives.
Democratic Perspectives is presented by the Democrats of Douglas County, Nevada, promoting sensible government for today and tomorrow.